You may think you know the best way to recover after abortion. I know I thought I did, but I was wrong, and you probably are too. In this video, I cover the best and worst ways to recover after abortion. And if you stay tuned to the end, I'll hook you up with some resources to make sure you're on the right path. In the healing groups I've led over the past 20 years, I've asked women how did they recover from their abortions. What I discovered is that by far they chose the worst ways to recover from the trauma and grieve their losses. You know what they did? They said they handled it. Other words for handling it are I coped, I managed, I endured, I survived, I carried on, I got on with my life, I buried it, and I wouldn't let myself think about it. Did you notice the one word that never came up? I'll get back to that in a minute. But when I followed up with the question, well, how did you handle it? Here's what they told me, what they thought that looked like. I covered it up. I kept it a secret. It would be too humiliating to let other people know about my abortions. I refused to believe it was a traumatic experience. In other words, I denied my guilt, my shame, and my grief. I accepted popular thinking that there's nothing wrong with abortion, so there's nothing wrong with me. Others said I redefined it. Abortion isn't a sin, a mistake, or a moral failure. It was a procedure. It was just a clump of tissue, not a baby, yet alone my child. Other women told me that dealing with it meant that they compensated for it by good works, by success, being the model mother, the pro-life vigilante. So many women in my groups call themselves perfectionists because they're unable to tolerate their own mistakes or anyone else's imperfections. But at the opposite end, some women deal with it by going on to prove their worthlessness. They punish themselves in addictions, abusive relationships, over-controlling, and living up to a bad reputation. And finally, others talk about dealing with it by giving up on life, settling for far less than God wants for them. I recognize myself in some of these women. I dealt with my 3 abortions by never telling anyone about them. I didn't allow myself to think about them. I buried myself in my career, proving my goodness through promotions, money, and success. I also dealt with my emotions through dead-end relationships, one after the other, with men who proved I was unlovable. And I also dealt with it through alcohol, so I didn't have to feel anything when the feelings got to be too much. If those are the ways you've been recovering since your abortions, I'm here to tell you you've been doing it the hard way, the worst ways. You may be able to get through the day, months, and years, but you're not really living. And there's a better word. The word that's been missing, the best way to recover from abortion is to heal. To heal means to become sound and healthy again. For some, maybe for the first time. I'm convinced you found your way to my channel and this video because you don't want to settle anymore. I'm calling you forth right now to stop living in fear. Fear of what people will say, fear of facing the truth, fear of accepting responsibility, fear of showing you need help, fear that it's too late or you're too far gone. You're living in fear. But you know, my pastor said this morning that there's no such thing as living in fear. Because when you live in fear, you aren't really living. You're just existing. And my dear sister, you are worth so much more than that. I don't care how many abortions you've had. It's time to stop wasting your life on the worst ways to recover from abortion and learn the best way. To heal once and for all. That's what I've done and what I want for you. If you want to know what that looks like, check out this video. In the meantime, I've linked some resources in the description to this video. Stop dealing with your abortion and start healing. You won't believe how good life can be.